One of the most common questions I get asked is this: why do I fall in love so deeply and then get too attached? And why does it end up hurting both of us? It's a real struggle. You care about someone, you give your heart, and before you know it, that love starts turning into something heavy, something painful. So the real question becomes, how do you love someone without losing yourself in attachment? To truly understand this, you first need to see the difference between love and attachment, because most people confuse the two, but they are not the same. Let me explain it in a simple, honest way. When you truly love someone, pure, genuine love, you say, I want you to be happy. That's it. No hidden condition. No silent demand. And yes, deep down you might think, if I'm part of that happiness, that would be amazing. But even if you're not, even if their happiness takes them somewhere else, you still wish them well. That is love. It is open. It is freeing. It does not hold tightly. But attachment sounds very different. Attachment says, you need to make me happy. And when that doesn't happen, frustration begins. You start asking, why aren't you giving me enough? Why don't I feel loved the way I want? You begin measuring everything, attention, time, affection, and it never feels like enough. That is attachment. So do you see the difference? Love focuses on the other person's happiness. And strangely enough, when you genuinely wish happiness for others, you often receive that same energy back. But attachment focuses only on your own happiness. It becomes centered around your needs, your fears, your expectations. And over time, it can turn into a subtle form of control. Now let's go deeper, because understanding how attachment forms is the key to freeing yourself from it. It usually starts very innocently. You meet someone and something just clicks. You feel a strong connection. You start thinking, this person is perfect for me. This is exactly what I've been looking for. Then the thoughts grow stronger. I want to be with this person forever. I can't imagine my life without them. I don't want to lose them. And without realizing it, you begin holding on tightly. First it feels like love, but slowly it becomes something else. You begin to cling. You start thinking you need them in your life in order to feel complete. And from that need, a new behavior begins. You try to protect the relationship. But here's where things get dangerous. Sometimes that protection turns into control. You might say things like, don't talk to certain people. Don't spend too much time on social media. I don't like you going out like that. It may seem like care. It may even feel justified in your mind. But in reality, it starts to limit the other person's freedom. And here's the truth most people ignore. The more you try to control someone, the more likely you are to lose them. Because every human being values freedom. If you look deeper into life, something often reflected in mindful and philosophical teachings, you begin to realize something powerful. Each person is living in their own inner world. Just like you have your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own dreams, so does everyone else. You create your own happiness. You create your own pain. Your inner world is shaped by you. And the same is true for the person you love. They also want to feel free. They also want to feel alive, independent, and respected. So when you begin placing restrictions on them, no matter how small, it creates pressure. And pressure slowly pushes people away. No one wants to feel controlled. No one wants to feel like they're losing themselves in a relationship. That's why attachment is so fragile. Tries to hold on, but in doing so, it often breaks the very thing it's trying to keep. And then something else begins to grow inside you. Fear. You start worrying. What if they leave me? What if I lose them? What will happen to me if they're gone? Your mind creates scenarios, your heart feels unstable, and suddenly your happiness depends entirely on another person. But here's the reality that many people try to avoid. Nothing in this life is permanent. No person, no relationship, no moment. Everything is constantly changing. Every experience you have, every connection, every emotion is temporary. That's simply the nature of life. And when you try to hold something permanent in a world that is always changing, suffering begins. That is how attachment is formed. But love, real love, comes from understanding this reality, not resisting it. And when you truly begin to see this clearly, something inside you starts to shift. You begin to love differently, not with fear, not with control, but with awareness. And that's where everything begins to change. When you begin to love someone the right way, purely without clinging or excessive attachment, you start to see life more clearly. You begin to understand a truth that most people try to avoid. The people around you are not going to be with you forever. That realization can feel uncomfortable at first, even painful, because when you truly care about someone, the idea of losing them is something you naturally want to push away. But avoiding this truth doesn't protect you. It actually deepens your fear. Instead, there's a powerful shift that happens when you gently accept reality. There's a simple reflection, often shared in mindful teachings. Remember, every person you love, and everyone who loves you, will one day be separated from you. Not because something went wrong, not because love failed, but because this is the nature of life. Separation is inevitable. It may happen through distance. It may happen through change. And eventually, at some point, it happens through the end of life itself. That's not meant to make you sad. It's meant to wake you up. Because when you truly understand this, something inside you changes. You stop taking time for granted. You begin to think differently. I don't have forever with this person. Our time is limited. Life is actually very short. Even if everything goes perfectly, even if nothing unexpected happens, the average human life is still brief. Decades may sound like a long time, but when you really look at it, it passes faster than you think. And when you accept that, you start to love differently. You stop trying to control. You stop trying to possess. You stop wasting time on unnecessary conflict. Instead, you begin to give. You offer your love, your kindness, your attention, and your compassion. Fully, sincerely, and without holding back. Not because you're afraid of losing them, but because you understand how precious the present moment really is. This is where real love begins to grow. But to truly live this way, you need to understand a few deeper truths about life. The first truth is this: everything is constantly changing. Nothing stays the same. No emotion, no situation, no relationship is fixed forever. Life is always moving, always shifting. And when you try to hold on to something as if it will never change, you create resistance. And that resistance turns into suffering. The second truth is this: every person is dealing with their own struggles. Even the people who seem happy. Even the people you love the most. Everyone is carrying something inside: stress, fear, uncertainty, past pain. We all live in our own inner worlds, facing our own challenges. So expecting one person to fulfill all your needs, to always understand you perfectly, and to make you happy 100% of the time is simply unrealistic. Puts pressure on them, and it sets you up for disappointment, because no human being can carry that responsibility perfectly. The third truth is this: you cannot control everything or everyone. You cannot control how someone feels. You cannot control how they behave, what they think, or how they respond to you. That belongs to them. Trying to control it only leads to frustration. But there is something you can control. You can control how you respond. You can control how you treat others. You can control the way you live your own life. And that is where your true power lies. When you deeply understand these three truths: change, shared human struggle, and the limits of control, you begin to approach relationships with a completely different mindset. You become more patient, more understanding, more compassionate, and your love becomes lighter, yet stronger at the same time. You no longer say, "Stay with me or I'll fall apart." Instead you say, "If you stay, I will cherish you. If you go, I will still wish you happiness." That kind of love does not create fear. It does not create pressure. And most importantly, it does not destroy you, because your happiness is no longer dependent on someone else's presence. Attachment, on the other hand, always brings pain. The tighter you hold on, the more anxious you become. The more you try to control, the more unstable everything feels. But when you shift into love without attachment, something beautiful happens. You start wishing well for everyone. Not just the people who stay in your life, but even those who leave. You genuinely hope they find happiness. You genuinely want them to grow, to succeed, to feel peace. And in doing so, you discover something unexpected. The peace you were searching for was never in controlling others. It was in freeing your own heart. This is the kind of love that transforms you. A love that is calm. A love that is steady. A love that does not break under pressure. And when you begin to live this way, you'll notice something quietly powerful. Your relationships improve. Your mind becomes lighter, and your life feels more meaningful. So take a moment today. Reflect on how you love. Ask yourself honestly, am I loving or am I holding on? Because the moment you learn to love without attachment, everything changes. Thank you for spending this time with Soft Zen Mind. If this message resonated with you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. Stay mindful, stay kind, and most importantly, learn to love without losing yourself.